I stop to wonder. I'm naive, but I remember.
Good morning, Vikings. My name is Connor Hensey, and I'll be your host for this week's show. Today we'll be covering general announcements, world news, the history of March Madness, a video on J.R.R. Tolkien, as well as a senior spotlight on Savannah O'Neal. Stay tuned, Vikings, because we have a great show for you today.
I got you going so far, keep running away from me. You said you know who you are, you keep it so sweet.
Are you recording? Alright. Okay, welcome to your 2020s, man. Welcome to your 2020s, man. Welcome to your 2020s, man. Welcome to your 20s, man. Welcome to your 20s, man.
I'll admit it, I've been wanting you.
If you are in need of a work permit, please email Mr. Welch at the email listed. Please note that you must have already been hired in order to obtain a work permit. Now, let's dive into some of the latest world news.
Good morning, Vikings. I'm Alec Gomez, and I'll be your host for this week's world news. Brazil reaches a record number of COVID cases this past week, reaching up to 90,000 new cases in a single day. It was suspected to have happened as a result of multiple reasons, but not limited to Brazil's full hospitals, lack of vaccines, the lack of precautionary measures against corona, and a new virus variant. The P1 variant is known to have originated in the Amazons and is known for being more likely to infect others. Brazil is just behind the United States in terms of the highest infections and deaths in the world. Although COVID cases are increasing at an alarming rate, there is hope with the expanding number of vaccinations. As of recent news, roughly 13% of the United States has been fully vaccinated. However, in order to reduce some of the anxiety at vaccination sites, many pop-up concerts have grown in popularity. Recently, Yo-Yo Ma, a world-class cellist, performed an impromptu concert at Berkshire Community College for lucky folks waiting to get their COVID vaccine. This mini-concert has been one of the many pandemic performances trending with #songs of comfort. Yo-Yo Ma dedicates this to all the people who are going through tough times, lost people who are pushing through, leading the strenuous life, and for the longest time not knowing if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Taking it to Orange County, the Tsai family, like many other Asian Americans, are experiencing racial attacks on their home in Ladera Ranch. Frequent visits from teenagers would often result in racial slurs, pounding on the door, and rocks being thrown. Tsai and his wife would often take turns standing outside. They installed new fences and cameras and even called the police, but the attacks kept coming. In response to the attacks, Tsai said, "My kids are scared, I'm very annoyed. At night, my wife and I could not sleep for more than 3 or 4 hours. Please, parents, tell your kids don't do that again." Thankfully, Tsai's neighbors stepped in and helped the family out. Taking shifts, Tsai's neighbors would guard the outside of the house while some went around on patrols. Deputies also ramped up patrols, and the Orange County Police Department has launched a full investigation. In the 2 weeks, attacks lessened, but not completely stopped, with some teens still throwing rocks and yelling profanities at the volunteers. Min, the state senator, has said that the Tsai family should not have to feel unwelcome or unsafe in their own home. The fact of the matter is, as we see tonight, we outnumber them. That's all the news you have for you today, Vikings. We hope you enjoy the rest of our show.
There will be free grab-and-go meals for anyone 18 years and younger from 12 to 2 p.m. at the roundabout by the Valencia Theater. Now, let's learn more about the history of March Madness.
Everyone has heard of March Madness, the 64-team viewing frenzy that draws in millions upon millions of viewers each year. But not many people know the backstory of the event. How exactly did this yearly tournament come to be? Let's find out today as we recap the history of March Madness.
One shining moment.
March Madness is a single-elimination basketball tournament where college-level teams battle it out for the national champion title. This event is hosted by the NCAA, a non-profit organization that aims to ensure the well-being and success of college athletes. The first NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament took place in 1939. Contrary to today's 64 teams, the 1939 tournament only included 8. Over the next few decades, the teams would be doubled to 16, then to 32, and finally residing at 64. The term March Madness originates from an Illinois high school official named Henry V. Porter in 1939, but it didn't find its way to the NCAA tournament until Brent Musburger, a CBS broadcaster, used the term during his coverage of the tournament in 1982. The term has been commonly used ever since. One Shining Moment, the official anthem of March Madness, was written by David Barrett in 1986. It was first used for the NCAA men's basketball tournament in 1987. The song accompanies a montage of the best moments from the year's tournament, from the upsets to the buzzer beaters. Barrett originally wrote the song as an ode to basketball. However, it was first scheduled to be played after Super Bowl 21. After coverage of the game ran long, the song never aired, but CBS producer Doug Towie used it in the following March Madness, ironing it into history. As many of you know, March Madness was canceled last year due to the pandemic. However, this year the annual basketball tournament is in full swing and has already started. Starting on March 18th with a series of play-in games, all the way to the championship game on April 5th, we can expect nothing but the best college basketball action. It is still up in the air which team is bringing home the title of national champion. We are excited to see the outcome of the intense competition, and we'll be watching with all the more respect now that we know the rich history behind the tournament. Stay tuned for the rest of the show, and we hope you enjoy the next few weeks of March Madness.
Attention dancers, if you are interested in joining the Valencia dance team for the 2020 to 2021 school year, please click the link in the description. Yesterday was Tolkien Reading Day. Let's learn more about Tolkien and some of the books that he has written.
Hey Vikings, have you ever wondered what is celebrated on March 25th? Well, today is your lucky day because I'm going to tell you. It is Tolkien Reading Day. What is that, you may ask? Well, on this particular day, it was organized by the Tolkien Society to encourage fans to celebrate and promote the life and works of J.R.R. Tolkien by having people read their favorite passages. They also encouraged schools, museums, and libraries to host their own Tolkien Reading Day events. J.R.R. Tolkien is famously known for writing beloved books like The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. These particular books went on to be adapted into major motion pictures that were directed by Peter Jackson. The question is, how did this all start? Well, Tolkien Reading Day began when a statement from Sean Kearse was released in January 2002. In the statement, he states, "My grandparents were fishing folk from Buckie in the north of Scotland, carriers of the old stories and legends, and the trilogy has filled a certain hole in my life. I have many friends here in New York who were equally moved by the book, reignited by the film, and we all wondered, is there any day devoted informally to readings from the trilogy in the way that Bloomsday was devoted to Joyce?" After that, the committee read the statement from Sean Kearse. They liked the idea so much that they chose March 25th, 2003 to be the first Tolkien Reading Day, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, if you haven't read any books from J.R.R. Tolkien, I suggest that this is your chance to read them now.
Although library hours are shortened and staggered, the VHS library is trying its hardest to get books to all students. If you are still in need of a textbook, please email Mrs. Butera at mbutera@heartdistrict.org. Now we would like to showcase our senior spotlight, Savannah O'Neill.
Hi, I'm Savannah O'Neill and I'm a senior at Valencia High School. Well, they're different. When I was in 4th grade, they were only at night, and they were like the really, really big ones. And now they are just really small ones. Like, people would think they are not seizures at all. I literally just I don't even know what I do. To me, I just think I pass out, but I just kind of drop whatever I have in my hands, and I just my muscles tense up. I don't really know how to describe it. My biggest challenge has definitely been being able to see everyone drive, because I have to ask my mom to drive me places, and it's definitely been hard because I'm a senior and I should be able to drive. And since we also live near Six Flags, I cannot ride the roller coasters, and it's definitely been hard. I just stayed positive, and if anything was really, really hard, I would go to my mom or my friends. Really, I just try to stay positive and happy, and I know that I have a really good group of doctors. Okay, so my first one was actually in Las Vegas, and so it was summer, so they thought I was dehydrated. but apparently I was not because, they kept on happening. So we went to Children's Hospital and I got diagnosed with epilepsy, and that was hard because, I was a 4th grader living a regular life. So my biggest inspiration has definitely been my mom, because she drops everything for me. She goes to all of my appointments. She knows everything about my seizures, and she's always there for me.
Well, that's all the news we have for you today, Vikings. We'll see you next week on VTV Live. Bye, Vikings.